So welcome back to the Northern Nerd Network. My name is Dan Schessel. And for this week, we are talking to Shane Turgeon of Shades of Grey, Tattoos and Collectibles. Now, the reason why we went over to talk to Shane in the first place was because someone on Twitter, a guy that goes by the name of Brent Dahl Designs, actually suggested that we should go and talk to Shane and find out, sort of what he's all about. And I'm really glad I did. Going over there and talking to him was just an absolute delight. I had such a great time. We had such a great conversation. And in fact, such a great conversation that we're going to have to actually put it into two parts. Yes. For the first part, we're going to be talking a little bit about his store and about, the tattoos and collectibles and really what the connection is between the two. And for the second video, we're going to be talking about, that's right, the Edmonton Expo is coming up. Yes, and he is, part of that board. He's one of the founders of the Edmonton Expo. He also runs the Edmonton Collector Con as well. And, he just has a real good inside track and all that kind of stuff. And we had such a great time talking about the Edmonton Expo and the Collector Con. And so for the second video, we're going to be really diving into that. So without further ado, here's Shane and I over at Shades of Grey, Tattoos and Collectibles. So I'm standing here with Shane Turgeon, is that correct?
That's correct.
Of Shades of Grey, Tattoos and Collectibles. Now, can you tell me a little bit about the connection between tattoos and collectibles?
It's kind of funny, originally when I started doing this, it was mostly with Star Wars tattoos, but I noticed that there was a lot of people who were getting Transformer tattoos and G.I. Joe tattoos, myself included, because I love G.I. Joe. And I just recognized, 12, 14 years ago that there was a huge crossover between, nerd culture and tattoo culture, and that also included collectibles.
So if you're not a tattoo artist, then why a tattoo shop?
I've been in love with tattoo culture for over 20 years, from growing up in the punk and heavy metal scenes and seeing, all those rad rock stars with tattoos. I was like, man, I'm totally going to get a tattoo at some point. And my first tattoo was Star Wars related. And that just led into this huge snowball effect of all these different things that have happened to me that I've been very fortunate about. I started a website dedicated to Star Wars tattoos, the first version in 1999, and then its own dedicated site in 2002. That blew up. That turned to working with Lucasfilm and doing tattoo-related stuff with their celebration conventions. That then turned into The Force in the Flesh, which is a coffee table book on Star Wars tattoos that I wrote. I'm currently working on Volume 2 with that. Just seeing how many heavily modified people who are into tattoo culture and who are into toy and comic book and geek culture is phenomenal. And it just, Shades of Grey seemed that perfect way to just take it to that next step and to put everything in one place for everybody who loves that sort of stuff.
Now, there's a lot of stuff in this store here. Can you tell me about some of the collections you got going on here?
Yeah, I try to pride myself on being the best vintage toy store in Edmonton, even in Alberta. And that just comes from my love as a kid who grew up in the 80s, that time frame where just everything was marketed to you. Every cartoon was actually a toy commercial. Yeah. And, I grew up with that stuff. I love it, and I want to see it everywhere I go.
Now, is there a favorite collection you have here in the store?
For me personally, I'm a G.I. Joe collector and I'm a Star Wars collector, so it's kind of a toss-up between between those two things. I don't have that much vintage Star Wars stuff in right now, but I have a huge selection of G.I. Joe, so I'm going to go with the G.I. Joe stuff, especially the USS Flag aircraft carrier that we have on display.
So what's the oddest thing you've had in this store, as for collectibles anyways?
That's a really hard question to answer because there's a lot of really crazy toys out there and stuff like that, but I think honestly it has to be Wheels Willie from the Chips toy line. Okay. And Chips was an 80s action TV show, that followed that formula like A-Team and all that sort of stuff. And there was a toy that they released called Wheels Willie. And Wheels is bald, and he's got this wrinkly head and an eye patch, and he's standing there in the picture, or in the bubble, with his hand posed right like this. So it's just this gnarly looking gross dude with this pose. You're like, who would buy that? Somebody bought it. I sold it. It's gone.
What's the most rarest thing you've had in the store?
The rarest thing that I've got is probably some of the early Canadian Star Wars stuff, still in the original package. They have a big pyramid type logo on the front of the card that says Le Guerre des Étoiles. And these figures are often referred to as GDE figures in short. They're incredibly rare and they're incredibly valuable. I brokered a collection, which I still have one of. I have the Stormtrooper and I have an asking price of $4,000 on it.
Wow. What is maybe the weirdest thing you have in the store right now?
The weirdest thing I have in the store right now, I would probably go with one of the Power Lords figures. It was this totally bizarre toy line from the late 70s, early 80s, and man, like they are crazy looking. And there's this weird birded feather girl with like a switch around reversible head, and it's totally nuts. So I would have to go with that one.
Now, I noticed that you've had a lot of pieces of art on your wall here. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, we have several different things. We've got original comic book art. We've got artwork from Star Wars Visions book by artist Robert Bailey, and we have a lot of tattoo related stuff. I did the Star Wars The Force in the Flesh coffee table book on Star Wars tattoos, and we had a flash sheet that had just like all crazy cool Star Wars tattoo designs. I have a lot of the original artwork from that flash sheet hanging on the walls. I also did an art show with Lucasfilm in 2010 called The Empire Skates Back. It was in celebration of the 30th anniversary of Empire, and we gave 30 tattoo artists each a blank skateboard deck to paint in their rendition of The Empire Strikes Back. We auctioned the decks off for charity, and we raised just over $12,000 for Make-A-Wish at that show. So I have some of those decks hanging on the wall as well.
So where can people find the shop here?
We are located at 10444 82nd Avenue on the second floor. So we're right above Yanni's Greek Restaurant, which is next door to Julio's Barrio. Most people know where Julio's is. So that's what we always tell people. We're next door to Julio's and upstairs.
Now, where can people find you on the web?
They can find us at shadesofgraytattoo.com. Yep. If you're interested in the other stuff, you can find us at edtoyshow.com for the Edmonton Collector Con, edmontonexpo.com for the Edmonton Expo, obviously. And if you're interested in more about me, you can visit my site, tattoosandtoys.com or shaneturgeon.com.
And how about the book?
The book will be released in April 2015, and you can find that at theforceintheflesh.com.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I hope everyone enjoyed that conversation. I know I sure had a great time talking with Shane about his shop there. It was, like I said, it was such a great place to go, and if you haven't been to his shop, you should really go and check it out. He's got a lot of great stuff in there, and if you really want a tattoo, that's definitely the place to be. Also, if you guys would like to know some more about the Northern Nerd Network, well, guess what? We're all over the web. We're on Facebook and Twitter, and that's right, YouTube. And also, we're on our own website, northernnerd.com. And you can also find us on thepulppress.com as well. So, again, I want to thank everybody out there for watching these videos, and I'll see you guys on the next one. I should probably do something funny. I got nothing.